Hello everyone, I hope you are doing good. In the previous video, we learned about printing a statement and defining a variable. If you haven't watched the previous video, please go and watch because we'll be taking some reference from the previous video so that we can get the concept that we're going to learn today. Today in this video, we're going to learn about user interaction and operators. What is user interaction means you can input a name by yours. You will type the name. The user will type the name in his keyboard and that name will get printed. So I'll give an example. We'll take reference from the previous one. So you can see this. This is from the previous lecture. So we talked about variables. You can see here we use the name Johnny, but the name was given directly in a means it is a hard coded means we already know that the name will be Johnny. But what if we want that the user should input the name Johnny, or user should input whatever name it want and it will print hello and give a sweet message like hello to the user. So we'll be learning how we can do this in Python. So let's write here name, and to do this you just need to write one syntax called input. This will take user input means this will ask the user to enter something. So you can, if you just run it, you can see that a box will be opened here and you can just write anything whatever you want. Whatever you write here will be taken as string. I always said what string is. String is collection of letters or collection of words. So if you write here your name or anything, let's write here John, and you can see here the name. Now if you just write your name and if you run this, you can see John is getting printed. Means here the name, we did not define the name like previous. You can see that we already gave the name of Johnny to the name, but here the name will be given by the user. So let's do this in a better example so that you can understand better. So let's cut this and write here name, and we'll write input, enter your name, and after entering the name we'll just print a sweet message like hello and whatever the name is. So we'll write hello and we'll just write name. So now if you run this, you can see that it will write your name, like enter your name. This is the one that we wrote inside here. Whatever you write here, this is like giving the user instruction what he should put inside the box that is as an input. So he's writing enter your name means enter your name. So we'll write our name here, John Burger. So if his name is John Burger and if you just press enter, you can see here hello John Burger. So this is how we can put an input, but there are several conditions here. You can see that whatever is inside the input, this will always take an string. So let's take an example. Suppose we want to put a number here, so we'll just write input and enter a number, and let's just print out the number whatever was inside this and just run it. Let's write a number, so let's print 100 and run it. You can see 100 is entered, but if you, I already said you how to check that type. You can just write type and put the name here num and run it. You can see it's a type of string, but whereas 100 should be type of integer. I already told you how to see that type. You watch the previous video. If you're not understanding this, I already said you in the previous video. So you can see here we entered a number 100. It should print here integer instead of string, but it's printing a string. So that is how the input works. Input always takes string as an very inside. Input always take a string. So how can we put a number? To put a number, you can just write here num and write whatever you want. Suppose you want, if you want string, then this is automatic, you don't need to write anything. But if you want an integer, you can just write here equals to int is for integer. Then inside this you can just write input and enter a number. So now if you print out this and run this and let's enter the same number 100, you can see 100 is getting printed. But what if you check the type of number, you can see now it is type of int, but in the previous you can see type of num was string. How did this change? This is changed by using just this keyword int. Int means it will, whatever is taking input, it will input only one that is having integer value. Only the integer value will be entered. Suppose you want a decimal, so you can just write float inside of this. So just let's copy out this. Let's copy this and paste it here and write here float. And if you just run this and write here 100.5 and you write here type of num, type of num, you can see it's a type float. What if we put a float number here itself? Means inside this number is a type of string, but what if we put a float? Let's write here 100.5. You can see here it is of type integer, so it can't print anything. There is a decimal. This will take only number input as an integer type. It can't take an float value. 100.5 is a float value, and you can see that is invalid literal for int with base 10. 100.5 is not a float, so it can't accept this. So we should always put integer here. You can see it's running quite. So that is how we can take an input in Python. I hope you got this. It's very easy. So you need to remember that when input always takes string as an inside, and if you want to take integer or float, you just have to mention before the input. So now we'll learn about operators. Operators is very essential. So what are the operators? Operators are like plus, minus, multiplication, and modulo. So these are the operators that we'll be talking today. So let's just comment out this and I'll talk one by one everything with you. Okay, so first we'll be talking of plus. Plus means adding two numbers. So there is not only numbers that can be added, but we can add string also. So let's start by adding some number. So we'll just write print 2 plus 3. You can see 5 is getting printed. It's that easy. What if we wanted to add some string? So we can just write print hello plus world. You can see hello world is getting printed. So this is added, so there is no space between them. So you can just put a space here, and you can see hello world is getting printed. So we can add a string, but we cannot put a difference in string. So this will not work. So we can do this for numbers. So let's do for minus now. So let's write print 2 minus 3. So you can see minus 1. But what if we print the same thing with this negative sign? So let's run this, put it here, and put a negative sign here, and run this. You can see the unsupported type for negative, string, and string. We can add to string, but we cannot difference a string from a string. So this is an exception. Don't try this. So now let's go to another one, that is multiplication. This star sign, asterisk sign is used for multiplication. So you can come down here, cut out this, and write print 2 cross 3. So 2 cross 3 should give 6. Let's see what it gives. Okay, it gives 6, means it's totally fine. Now let's come to this fourth one. It's a type division. Division means 2 by 3 gives 0 as an integer type or a float type. So this division can be done in two ways. I'll show you one by one. Let's write print 2 divided by 3. You can see 2 divided by 3 is getting a float number 0.666 because it's never ending. What if you wanted to type integer? Means you wanted that, let's take a bigger example like 5 by 3, 5 divided by 3. So you can see it's 1.6667. Or what if you want that it should be only integer type? This number should not get printed, only 1 should get printed. You can do this very easily. You need to just type print 5 and put this division sign 2 times and write 3. You can see now here only 1 is getting printed. So if you use this single division sign here, decimal is getting printed, and here only of type int, or you can say in place of decimal you can just write float value. So we get the float value when you use a single this backward slash. I hope it's backward slash. Yes, it's backward slash. And if you use double backward slash, then we get the integer type. So that's how you do. And the last operator, this is called modulo. Modulo means it gives the remainder. Whenever you divide something, it gives the remainder that remains. So let's see here, print if 3 is divided by 2. Okay, you know that when 3 is divided by 2, 2 cross 1 is 2, then 1 will remain in the remainder. So if you just run this, you can see 1. Why 1? You can see here, when 3 is divided by 2, here we get 1. 1 is the quotient. Quotient will be 1, and the 1 will be in the remainder. Why? Because 2 cross 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So that's how you get only 1. It's a remainder. So let's try one more so that you can understand better. So if 5 is divided by 3, 5 is divided by 3. 5 cannot be divided, means it's 3 cross 2 is 6, 3 cross 1 is 3. So when we divide 3 cross 1 is 3, 2 remains. So we'll get here 2 as an remainder or the modulo. What if it's completely divisible? So if you write a print 6 divided by 2. 6 is divisible, 2 cross 3 is 6, so there is no remainder, so you'll get a 0 here. So that's how all these operators works. I hope you got the concept of operators. You can use operators when you use a simple, you can build a simple calculator for yourself by using this operator. So that's what I wanted to say in this video. So I hope you got how can we do user interaction by using this input. Remember, this will take only string. It takes strings only. It takes string only. So the input takes only string as an input. So if you wanted to enter an integer or float value, you should mention in front of this input. So I hope you got this. So that is it for today. Thank you for watching. In the next we'll learn about function. I said we'll do in this video, but this was very important before learning function. So in the next video we'll learn about function and loops. Thank you for watching. See you in the next.